Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Crossing Swords. As always, I'm Andrew.
Hello.
Is it me you're looking for?
It is you I'm looking for
that's right
most
then.
weeks. Do you know I normally find you because I'm subscribed.
Yeah.
I'm subscribed to the pod, so I always find you.
But not all of you are. I've been looking at our YouTube
Numbers,
which have been, again, really good. We've got some more subscribers coming in, which is great. But not enough. 34% of the people that watch our videos
I'll be honest,
aren't subscribed.
do you feel awkward? So the last video we put out was quite successful.
Yeah.
By our standards. YouTube is definitely not our strongest platform.
Yeah.
I don't think that's any secret. We're
It's
trying to grow it. We're trying to grow
It's
it.
improving. I'm trying to figure out what a YouTube short is. That doesn't help.
A couple of weeks ago, or a few episodes back, we tried to ride the coattails of Joe Lycett's success.
Yeah.
And what we've ended up doing is riding the coattails of Philip Schofield's scandal.
Yeah,
Now,
I mean...
is that quite the sort of trajectory that you were envisioning?
Well, look, I think initially...
And morally, where do you sit with it?
Well, the thing is, we've not just done it with Philip Schofield. A lot of our best episodes on YouTube have been by clickbaiting famous people. So the one that was even more successful than Schofield was our episode on Paul O'Grady. That one did really well. So like, it is what we've done it on Elon Musk. That one's been our biggest one, actually, was the Elon Musk episode.
Elon Musk probably promotes anything with his name in it.
Yeah. But, like, you know, it is what it is.
You know, just it was quite funny.
I wouldn't say
one week we're talking about.
I think anyone listening to that episode wouldn't feel like we're riding on Philip's coattails.
It's just 1 week we're like, I think we should try and piggyback Joe Lycett, and then it's like, well, Phil's getting talked about. Okay, let's just jump on that and see.
Well,
what
look, we're a topical discussion podcast.
We are. We have
one
been.
of the biggest stories going on.
I thought you were one of the biggest podcasts on the British market.
I wish that would be lovely. Who knows?
I think one of the biggest in content. And
Yeah.
our listenership is a core listenership.
Yeah,
And they believe in what we're doing.
they do.
They would fight for us.
Yeah, maybe.
We don't know. We can make...
Although,
Bro, look, we live in the UK at a time where you can make any claim you want. It's
And it's
never going to be
fine.
backed up. No.
okay. So fuck
You
it,
could
we're the
be-
number one podcast.
You could be
in the
caught
country.
out lying whilst you're
Yeah.
lying. And apparently it's just fine.
So we're the number one.
We are the
podcast
number one biggest selling podcast
in the country. Yeah.
We're on the global
Any
scale.
sponsor that wants to get involved, please do. Just don't ask for any
All of them, Apple,
statistics.
Nike. I'm trying to think, do you know what? I'd like to be, it's dangerous though. I'd like to be sponsored by some food people.
Yeah.
I'd like some freebies. I'd like a black card at Nando's.
See what
I know you're not bothered by Nando's.
No,
but
I don't remember the last time I went to one.
I like a
Years
Nando's,
ago
and
now.
I'll tell you what I really like, free food. If you combine the two.
You want the black card?
I do want the black
who's
card.
the famous person that couldn't
Ed
get
Sheeran
one?
has
That was-
one.
No, but there was someone who
someone that couldn't get one.
Yeah, and they were like, "Come on, man."
I don't know, but that's
I
cool.
can't remember who it was. They were quite big as well.
Example has one, which is fucking weird, given how he's faded into obscurity.
I like Example.
think they
though. I've
revoke
heard
it?
him on quite a few podcasts. He
Shouldn't
seems
they
like quite
like-
a nice bloke.
Do you think they're like, mate, that you're just not that popular anymore? We're pulling the card, or
I
is it for
mean,
life?
If you saw the touring he's doing, you wouldn't think he's not popular. I
Is
mean,
it-
he's got some summer bangers, hasn't he?
Is it for life?
Is it for live?
The black card.
I mean, I guess so, until you piss Nando's off. I mean, if you got one,
What happens if like Schofield had one?
I mean, he's definitely
And
lost
then
his
do you know
black
what I mean?
Nando. People don't want... I mean, I'm pretty sure it was a Nando's he was in that video, so that or a Pizza Express.
Excellent reference.
Yeah.
Excellent reference.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure if he did have one, he doesn't anymore.
Yeah, I feel like clothes would be a good one.
Yeah.
I quite like to not pay for clothes, but then again, I'm not that fashionable.
No, I mean, I think one that would be good would be something like Manscaped. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we could do
They-
some
they
manscaping.
do a lot of-
I need a little bit of
Gymshark
manscaping.
might be a bit iffy. You could perhaps be
I need
sponsored
a-
by Gymshark.
I
You're
need
the
a-
best shape you've been in. Although, if they want to sponsor the podcast and
We could
do a
get there.
journey,
Yeah, we could get there.
story of me, you know.
Yeah,
use
I'd be
me
well
as
up
a-
for that.
Yeah, me too.
I'd
I'd get fit and get paid.
not just Gymshark, pure gym.
Any gym.
David Warner, what they're
I
not
feel
David
like
Warner. What are they
Gymshark's
called?
the cool one, isn't it? David Lloyd.
David Lloyd. What's Voicecroft? That's like Everyone Active.
Yeah.
All the gyms.
Yeah.
All the gym people.
Although I feel like Gymshark's the more edgy, you know, mainstream.
That's the one you want to be associated with.
I feel so, yeah.
No, that's cool. I'm just trying
But
to
I'm
think.
not also burning the bridge of Everyone Active.
I'm just trying to think of
Pulse
like
and-
sponsors that
I don't
things
feel
that I
like
wouldn't pay
David
for.
Lloyd fits our image.
Bit posh.
It's a bit Tory, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd quite like to live the nice life. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, like, look.
Little post-podcast sauna.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
please.
I'd prefer a cold plunge to a sauna.
Yeah, so would I. But it's nice to have the option.
Why not have both?
Because I'm too poor.
No, but like we're talking.
We're talking like in
world
this world
where the sponsorship money's rolling in. You know, we're laughing. We're not in my mum's living room anymore.
Any one of those places, companies that have like corporate ticket access, that'd be dope. Go to a few gigs. I mean, imagine rocking up at the World Cup final and not paying for it.
I mean,
corporate, baby.
You'd need to be pretty big for that. Do you know what I mean?
I'm just saying.
We need to be bigger, like Joe Rogan size.
I don't think we have to be that big.
Perks.
I think we just have to be the right level of corrupt. And I'm open to it. If it gets me free tickets to the World Cup final,
the only problem is
I'm
we
open.
have been quite outspoken about
corruption. Yeah.
And being against it. I have also prefaced that if it was life-changing enough, my morals could probably
World Cup final was pretty life-changing.
I've got to be honest with you, that isn't what I would sell my morals
What about seeing some live acts?
No.
Because that can be life-changing. Sometimes you can see it and it just absolutely changes you.
No, I think the life-changing thing has to be the amount of money it's bringing in. If it's just getting me into free events, to be honest with you, I can live without that.
Well, I can't. So if any sponsors are listening, I can
just imagine massive disputes if this ever like properly takes off. Of like, we get offers in and you're like, look, it's money, mate. And I'm like, well, no, but there's money and then there's money, innit?
And you know, we'll have those discussions, my man. Yeah. We'll have them.
I actually don't think they are that hard, unless it isn't like an eye-watering amount. It's just not worth it.
I could imagine getting tracked on the side, like someone taps me on the shoulder, offers me this like loads of money or loads of gigs, or whatever, and I kind of go, that's really amazing. I need to go and talk it over. We're like a 50-50 partnership. Then they offer me that bit more or that extra ticket or something. I'm like, do you know what? Yeah, I think he'll be up for it, and just sign us both up for.
Well, no, but
Lord knows what.
Whenever like we have to incorporate crossing swords as an entity and everything like that, it will be put explicitly in any deals have to be co-signed. Both of us.
It's smart because I would stab you in the back for the right amount of free stuff.
I like to think I would
and free money.
But then if I got offered like a world tour backstage pass to go watch the Foo Fighters and shit,
and it's not stabbing you in the back. It's just saying, I'm sure he'd also like this. You know, I'm speaking on your behalf.
But like, if it's to go see Taylor Swift and go meet her, that I'd be pretty pissed off about, to be honest.
You don't want to meet Tay-Tay?
Not really.
Man,
I've got nothing against her.
Swifties are going to come for you.
She's got a couple of all right songs.
Why don't you fucking really mug off Harry Styles and we'll get them after us as well?
No, I quite like Harry Styles.
Oh, I see. I see. Smart.
There we go.
Smart.
Well, it's like we're not going to talk about who's that Asian group.
Hint of misogyny.
I knew you were going to bring the misogyny.
Black Pink.
No.
Is it Hot Pink?
The like Korean lads.
Oh, do you mean the like the 7-piece or whatever they were from like a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
BTS.
That's the one.
Who are no longer active.
They must be.
They're not active.
They were huge.
Yes, and they're no longer active.
Yeah, but their people were notoriously like, if you slagged them off, you were done.
Yeah. No, I don't hear from them anymore. They're fans.
No.
Maybe they're sleeper agents.
Maybe.
Waiting to get us.
How do you feel about riding on Philip Schofield's coattails?
Absolutely fine. My morality is a sliding scale.
I think with stuff like that, it's not really a big deal. To be honest. Like, I actually don't think it is.
I never said it was.
No, but the look you're giving me is one of
That's all I was doing. I was asking.
I think it's disgusting, bro. I mean, I'm on board with it, but it's disgusting. But I feel like the judgment is all aimed at me. Like,
you're the only one here, bro. Who am I meant to aim at?
The people. If the people weren't so pathetic and disgusting,
they're so easy to. They're so manipulated.
Yeah, I mean, you just put Elon Musk's name in the title, and you got hit.
You got yourself a stool, baby. Yeah, could happen.
Yeah.
That's a really obscure reference. I'll be very shocked if anyone gets that.
I didn't get it.
So. Arrested Development, Carl Weathers.
Never watched it.
Very odd. No.
Is that the one with Jason Bateman?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I haven't watched it. I do like Jason Bateman, though.
It's a good show.
Yeah. I've sort of forgotten what we were to talk about.
No, yeah, that's not the point at all. We just kind of we went off on sponsorship sidetracks.
Yeah, I think like the inspiration.
Can I just say, before we get onto that, one of my, so when I listen to sports sometimes on the radio, I always say I would love to do that job, but I couldn't because of the sponsorship. Like, I could not
Because
say.
it's all betting companies.
Well, not just betting companies. Even if it was a company I really liked, like I could pick any company that I really like, even if it was like fucking Star Wars, and I could not say
That would
you
be a
know
very interesting
it'd be niche.
sports
It'd be a niche
program that's
crossover.
sponsored by
I
Star Wars.
couldn't be like, welcome back, guys. Here we are in the 15th minute. You're joining us now for this Star Wars FA Cup final. It'd be like, no, come on, man. Why you got to put this? Why you got to put
Oh,
a
is it
sponsor in
because it's called the Emirates?
Yeah,
FA
I mean,
Cup?
I don't.
Is it the Emirates FA Cup?
Yeah, I didn't listen to it with the FA Cup, but with all the various tournaments and stuff that I
Yeah.
listened to, it's always like, even cricket series.
I
are
mean, the
sponsored
Carabao
now.
Cup, that's an energy drink.
Even the cricket series is sponsored. Like, you're listening to,
That doesn't really bother me.
you're on
I'd be
day
fine
3
with
of the Kazoo, test series between. It's like, I can't do that.
that.
I
Yeah.
couldn't. I'd struggle.
Really?
So I talk about sponsorship. Yeah, I really would. Like if
So you wouldn't like doing ad reads for us, for
no
example?
ad reads is fine.
Yeah.
But to say the name of the thing and like squeeze the sponsorship in. So if we just said at the top of the show, right guys, I want to talk to you about, Nike. They're really fucking cool and they're great and they're amazing. If Nike's listening, but I couldn't do like welcome back to Nike's Crossing Swords or Crossing Swords with Nike.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that.
See, I could do it if it was something like a Manscaped. If it was Crossing Swords brought to you by Manscaped, they're like our number one partner. We have to do an ad read from every time. All of that wouldn't bother me.
It would me a bit.
Really?
I'd struggle.
I think that's what most podcasts end up having to do.
I know.
So like, it's if we're ever lucky enough to be in that position, it's something we'd have to be okay with.
I know. It would. I'll cross that bridge.
I think ultimately in that sort of situation, it's just a case of like, if it's benefiting your life and it's benefiting the situation, then
Like I said, my morality is a sliding scale. I'm sure I'd find a way
And
to
I
be
think
okay with
the
it.
difference is like in the radio job, there's no benefit for you advertising that company.
Other than your job.
Well, yeah, but they're not directly paying your salary. Do you know what I mean?
No,
There's
but they're
other-
indirectly paying it.
Well, sponsors for your radio show, yes. For the football, probably not. Or the sports themselves.
Yeah, when sponsors sponsor like programs and stuff, I struggle with.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
Well, we'll just have to deal with
yeah.
it when it happens, isn't it? You
Aye.
notice I said when and not if.
I pick up the belief.
Yeah, it's going to happen, bro. It's destiny.
We should
Has
get a
to
little
be.
Ted Lasso sign. Belief.
Yeah,
Believe.
I've still not watched Ted Lasso. It's because it's on Apple.
Yeah,
So-
finished now.
Yeah, I know. I've heard it's quite cringy, though. I've heard it's good and cringy.
It can be.
Mm.
There's definitely moments. There was one scene in this episode, in this series, and it was like a good series, a good finish. It was a good
Mm.
final. There's one scene where it was just like, what in the fucking GCSE drama bullshit is this?
Yeah,
It was like it was like a real morality, cram it down your throat lesson.
yeah. Well, that's a bit like there's a show I liked called New Amsterdam. I don't know if you've heard about it.
I'm aware of it.
And it's quite a good show, but the most recent season we sort of stopped watching because every episode was the main character trying to take on one of the other hot button topics of the world today, whether it's race,
Yeah.
trans issues, whatever it
Yeah,
might
yeah,
be. And it was just one of those every episode, and it was like we've sort of gotten away from what was good about the show, which was the story, not these
Well, do you know what?
weekly
Talking
events.
about like
that,
writers and how what you choose to include in your show and whatever. I was watching Gogglebox last week, and they were watching Casualty,
okay,
and there was a snake, like a woman had been bitten by a cobra, and then the
Right.
snake got loose in the hospital and went
You
on
get
like
loads
a
of
tour around the
those in
hospital.
London, don't you?
And I was like, the
Isn't
thing
that where
is,
Holby is or Casualty?
yeah, at Holby, yeah, it's where it's set. And I was just like, do you know what though? I said at a certain point after so many episodes, you do run out of ideas. And I imagine the writers were just like, fuck it, there's a snake.
Yeah, snake
Like,
pops
okay,
into our house.
and the snake is wherever we need it to be.
yeah,
Snake's upstairs, downstairs. I don't give a, there's just a fucking snake in the building,
Yeah.
all right, guys?
Yeah.
Don't question it. We're on like our 1500th fucking
you have to
episode.
suspend your disbelief.
So, I mean, once you've done so many storylines, you've got to accept that sometimes there's just a snake in the building.
Samuel L. Jackson would get involved.
I've heard he's had enough of that.
No, I've heard he's willing to keep doing it again and again.
Imagine Samuel Jackson popping up on Holby City or Casualty, and the first thing he sees
It'd have
is a
to be a
snake.
big check.
The
Do you know
first
what I
thing he
mean?
sees is a snake,
Yeah.
and he could repeat that line.
Well, they'd have to, but it just change it to I'm sick of these motherfucking snakes in this motherfucking hospital.
Well, not on BBC Primetime, my friend.
Yeah, it'd be the R-rated show. It'd be After Dark. Do you know what I mean? It'd be an After Dark special.
Casualty on at 11 p.m.
Yeah.
because it goes fucking hardcore.
Yeah. Samuel L. Jackson just walking
Snake.
around, slapping people, killing snakes.
Like the writers have just gone full Danny DeVito from Always Sunny when he's like, I've not got a lot of this life left. I'm gonna get real weird with it. Like the writers like, we don't know how long Casualty's gonna go on for.
So let's get
We're gonna get
Samuel
really
L.
weird
Jackson.
with it.
Look, he's guaranteed box office. He'd get people watching it. I'd watch that episode just to see
I'd
Samuel
watch.
L.
I'd
Jackson.
watch that episode.
Yeah. See? Like, Hollywood companies should hire me more. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? For
I feel
casting and
like they've got
stories
enough
and-
people like you. Just get Sam Jackson in. But what about the story? It just gets
It's not
doesn't
enough
matter.
though, is
Doesn't
it?
matter.
It's
Just
not
get
enough
Sam
though.
Jackson in.
There's so many films you could add Samuel L. Jackson to, and I guarantee you it would improve it. Like, give me any film, and I guarantee Samuel L. Jackson.
Barbie would improve.
Of course,
Oppenheimer.
he'd be like, what all these fucking white people doing here?
I'm had it with you.
Which one's Oppenheimer?
The
Oh, it's about the nuclear bomb and Manhattan Project, isn't it? Okay, yeah. Yeah, absolutely, he'd be good in that.
He could play the bomb.
Wow. I don't know. Feels a bit racially charged to say a man of colour should be blowing himself up.
It doesn't. You could twist it anyway. I could say he could play Oppenheimer, and then you're like, great. So the guy who essentially ended the world,
Well, exactly.
played by a black guy,
Or he could just be there. Do you know what I mean? He's just one of the
Be-
guys.
around,
Yeah. Just shooting the shit.
standing over the shoulder, being like,
Give me another film. I mean,
"Are we just going to keep going?"
Schindler's List.
Yeah, what Frozen?
Absolutely Samuel L. Jackson. If he, in the middle of all the cartoons, was just there, that'd be amazing.
He should just be inserted.
Hugging Olaf and
Inserted into the
slapping that prick
background.
that's in the film.
The background of movies, just being sort of like looking around, confused and annoyed at why he's there and what's going on.
Yeah.
I think it would work.
I'm on board with it. I
You're
mean, this
welcome,
isn't
Hollywood.
at all what we came to talk about today, but
Do you think Hollywood could sponsor us? Like the
What,
industry as a whole?
I don't know. I mean, if you've got an issue of ad reads for like regular companies, Hollywood's got a pretty seedy history. I don't know whether you'd feel comfortable with that.
They could probably get me
Give you enough money to make you look the other way.
money, drugs, girls, anything, all of it.
Or it's basically, you're looking forward to the seedier side of Hollywood, is what you're saying.
I think we should embrace our sponsors,
Okay.
all
now
that
we're
they
embracing
offer,
them.
all that
Yeah,
they
yeah.
offer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when the check's big enough, we embrace.
yeah. When they can offer what they can offer.
Yeah, I think it's fair. Look,
Let's
I'm
go
not
for it.
judging you.
Would
Just-
you be happy to be judged? Would you happy to be sponsored by like a porn company?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I think I'd want to chat to a couple of the
Would
girls.
you be happy
and
to?
let me specify
No,
why.
yeah, okay.
Because I'd want to know everything's on the up and up. That they're happy, they're being treated well. Because I don't want to be a part
Excellent
of
phrasing,
the-
by the way.
What do you mean?
On the up and up.
It's just natural, bro.
I've heard it's very not
but
natural.
I'd want to make sure that they're being looked after, they're
That
happy,
it's fun
they're
and
being
consensual.
exactly. That everyone involved's consenting and happy.
I would love
and-
to do an episode from a porn set
Yeah,
Not-
why not?
while they're actively shooting.
No, I would, because I don't think I'd feel weird about that. Like, I think I'd feel the same as if I went onto like a film set that wasn't porn.
I'd feel weird recording a podcast while they're filming.
Okay. No, I think I could still manage it. I think there'd be a
What
lot of
happens if you
silence.
accidentally make eye contact?
You just have to. It's the same
You just
as.
have to ride it out.
I think so. Yeah.
Again, unfortunate phrasing, but you
Yeah.
just have to ride it out.
Yeah, I think that's just. You just have to grin and bear it, so to speak.
I mean, basically, we're open to all sponsorships.
Basically,
All welcome.
Fleshlight, Love Honey, whoever. Don't mind.
Yes, that is my history.
That and a few other porn websites.
Yeah, the kind you wouldn't repeat.
No,
Can't even pronounce some of them.
no.
They're that questionable.
A lot in foreign languages, and
Mm.
plus you're on the dark web. Can you even
Sort of.
share a link when it's the dark web?
Sort of arty when it's in a foreign language, isn't it? Like a foreign language film.
Yeah, if it's French, it's sexier.
It's, I understand the moaning, but the dialogue's a bit more of a,
It's iffy.
you
Having
know,
to type into Google
and also,
Translate as you're wanking.
different nationalities like moan in different intonations. There's like different.
Yeah. I
They
feel you.
convey different meanings than they do over here in
Mm.
English.
Yeah, I get that. No, look, although I think moans are universal, there's definitely different slants on them.
Agreed. Shall we?
We shall. What are we here to talk about?
Don't know. I've got very distracted.
We're here to talk about, and the inspiration sort of came from, we talked about Philip Schofield last week, and I've listened to a lot of stuff this week, and one of the things being pointed out that far too much attention was being given to that than other stuff going on. And one of the main things going on at the moment involves our lovely ex-Prime Minister, Mr. Boris Johnson.
It's so nice that he was such a non-eventful Prime Minister, wasn't it? He came, he didn't say much, he didn't do much,
No.
and then just rode off into the sunset, and we just never heard from him again.
Like, do you know how much he's earned since he stopped being PM?
I would imagine, legally, or like on the books, off
On
the
the
books.
books.
On the books.
This is just what we know about.
It's got to be a good couple mil, isn't it?
5.
Yeah, there you go.
And he's just bought a £4 million house in cash.
Has he bought it or someone bought it for him?
Allegedly, he has.
It's just also questionable, isn't it?
Yeah. But look, I mean, so what's happened is basically the government, the Tory government, set up a public inquiry.
Because they had to.
Because they had to look into the handling of the COVID pandemic, which obviously includes mainly Boris Johnson as he was Prime Minister at the time.
Matt Hancock as Health Secretary.
Priti Patel would be...
I mean, all of them would have been involved.
Them.
Anyone who was present at a Cobra meeting as well.
But including our now Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak,
who was then Chancellor.
And Baroness... Oh, let me grab her name. Why can't I find her name, Jake? Baroness Hallett.
Okay.
She was put as head of the public inquiry. She's now requested all WhatsApp messages and notes and communication from Boris Johnson regarding the COVID pandemic. Apparently he handed some redacted ones over. They then said, no, we want everything unredacted.
Yeah, we can't really do an inquiry.
He then said, well, I've handed you everything. The government have now, or the Cabinet Office, which is the government, are now trying to block the release of the information by doing a judicial review to see whether Baroness Hallett has the authority to do it, which she does.
Yeah.
It's quite clear under parliamentary law and public inquiry regulations that all communication from a minister or public servant is owned by the Crown and should be handed over upon request. So it's very black and white. They're going to lose it.
Yeah, there's no way.
Unless there's some dodgy shit going on.
They probably will lose it. And by it, I mean the messages and the data they're due to hand over.
And one of the excuses Boris had for not handing everything over was that one of the phones, because he used 2 at the time, he was told to stop using by the security services because it was compromised. But yeah, he's also been advised by the security services to not put Lebedev in the House of Lords because of his connections. And he's compromised, did it anyway. But yet in this situation, thought it was applicable to follow their instructions.
When it suits him. Do you know there's an interesting thing, that I found out recently, and it's quite an archaic thing, but I think it's quite telling to the way that Parliament's been run, particularly under Johnson, that when there's an issue at a public school,
right,
like a serious issue, I don't think the top dog issues, I mean murder, but anything up to kind of like sexual assault and that, the schools historically they don't involve the police. They handle it as an internal affair,
right?
So they are essentially acting above and outside of the law.
Yeah.
And they're handling their own problems.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a problem. We should probably handle that. Who's best to handle it?
Because one of the reasons is
and I feel like
with
that's
wealthy people's children and influential.
But I feel
children.
like it's quite telling as to how the government was run. Does the law apply? No. We will ask our own questions, and then satisfied with our own answers to our own questions.
Well, Boris Johnson, it's famously known that his headmaster from school basically said he lacks any respect for authority, doesn't believe the rules should apply to him, but should apply to everyone else, and when challenged on this, becomes incredibly aggressive and upset.
Yeah.
So
has an interest. What does he call it? A unique relationship with the truth.
Yes. Basically to say that he doesn't say nothing that comes out of his mouth is honest.
Yeah.
But one of the things Boris Johnson's done, which is quite interesting, is he's now said that regardless of what the judicial review comes back with, he will hand over all requested documents unredacted at their request, and believes the government should do exactly the same.
It's such horseshit, isn't it?
Yeah. So, well, he stuck the knife in, though, hasn't he?
Yeah, and he just says whatever he thinks is best to serve him. I know a lot of people do that, but
Yeah.
there's no morality, no scruples, not even following the rules.
No.
Just follows the rules if he suddenly feels he's best served by following the rules.
Why do you think he's done it?
What, not handed them over and
then
fought it and then said he's going to hand them
Yeah.
over? I think he probably realised, look, I think it's going to be incredibly incriminating.
Yeah.
All the
Nothing
stuff on
good
there.
can come of it for them, surely. For
And
any
I
of them.
think he's realised, or someone in his team has realised, that it's a losing battle. You can lose it and claim to lose it, and I'm sure that will have happened to the worst of the messages. I'm almost certain they will have been, well, I don't know what happened to them. I gave you everything I had, and anything that's missing is technological craziness. But I think he suddenly realised, I'm going to have to hand everything over. So the best thing now is to go on the front foot, hand everything over, and immediately start turning the knife on the other ministers and say, look what they made me do. Look what they advised me, or whatever. What do you think?
I think it's partly revenge. I think the other thing is, I think in his head, he imagines a scenario where if the Conservative Party is decimated after all of this comes out, and the thing is, this could take another couple of years for it to all be dealt with, so we could already be on another government before any of this really sees any comeuppance, which really means, in reality, none of them are going to get punished in any way. It just means publicly they might not be able to serve anymore. People like Rishi Sunak, we don't know what's going to come out. But I think he imagines a scenario where the party gets decimated, but he's still popular enough that he can be the leader of whatever's left and try and rebuild from there.
He's not popular, is he? I know he has a small
I think
faction.
he's popular with a certain...
He has a small faction that stuck with him and have stuck with him.
The thing is, we know people
public.
out there that think he did his best.
But I think a lot of people that supported him in 2019 have turned on him.
Yeah, I think probably within the party, but I think...
Partygate was really the one that...
I think there will still be a lot of people
most.
out there that still support him, sadly.
Partygate.
I don't have any faith in people that there isn't still a sizable
Sadly,
amount
despite all that he did, Partygate was the real undoing of him.
Yeah. Well, the final nail in the coffin was the Chris Pincher situation, wasn't it? That he'd promoted a man that was guilty of sexually harassing people after knowing about it. That
was it for the party.
Yeah. But for the public Partygate,
it was Partygate.
Well, I think most people bought into the narrative of, oh, he's doing his best, and then he got COVID and recovered, and that was a big moment for him. So I think
shame, really. Win for the NHS, but a real loss for the country.
Yeah. But yeah, I think in his head, and I don't know whether it's realistic or not, I can just see him thinking he gets to be the king of whatever's left afterwards.
Just imagine the nurses and the doctors and I can't think of the name of the hospital, the one opposite Westminster.
Is it Thomas?
Yeah, St. Thomas's. Sort of going, have you checked on Mr. Johnson in room 1? And they go, I haven't, it's really bad news. He's still alive. It looks like he's going to pull through. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
What do you think it says about Rishi Sunak?
He's a man of inaction, isn't he?
Well, the thing is, his main pledge when he came in was to essentially clean up the party.
Not accessible. Accountability, that's what he called it. That was
bring
quoted.
Like sort of standards back to public service again.
Yeah.
Now, his defence for what's going on at the moment, I would imagine, would be it's the Cabinet Office deciding how to deal with this. But fundamentally, he's the Prime Minister of this country. If he doesn't want them to do that, they don't do it. So for me, the only reason they're trying to block it is because he wants them to block it.
Yeah.
Because especially for Rishi Sunak, he's probably the only Tory that came out of it looking all right, other than the party.
I mean, it's interesting. I saw a story today at point of recording where he's turned onto a new topic. I didn't see what that was, but I saw a very brief interaction with a reporter at this press junket, where, by the way, it looked like it's been designed by like some GCSE students.
Was it the one where he was like, do you want to ask me, have you got a question about the summit?
Well, no, like, first of all, he's on like this, the great big normal background.
Yeah.
And the font's about that big. Not the font, like the entire message.
Yeah.
But no, a journalist asked him, is it, are you turning on a new topic today? Because weather conditions over the last week or so have meant that very few boats have attempted the crossing in the channel, and the boat migrants have dried up, and you need something new to talk about.
Yeah.
And he simply responded, well, I can't control the weather. Right, so it's not a no.
I can't control the weather. I like that.
And then he sort of tried to, he just sort of moved on.
Yeah.
It was like,
well, it feels like a pattern with the Tory party since they came in the sense of there's never really felt like a plan other than to cut resources to the bone and try and distract us from the fact they've done that.
But the thing is, they're not cutting resources. Like, look, I've never agreed with that approach to public spending and to public service, but there have been some Conservative governments in the past, not many, but some, and everyone's taken a bit on the side.
Yeah.
But there have been some that have genuinely believed that tactic is going to reduce the debt and improve the economy and get growth stimulated again and kind of get things moving. But with this lot, it's all going in the pockets.
Yeah.
It's all of it. Everything they do, none of it is because they believe that there will be a benefit to the economy. Yeah. It's all because, there's a quick buck.
Well, look,
everything.
I think you're probably right. I think when they came into power again after Labour, probably David Cameron and George Osborne did believe in it. I can believe they believed in.
There was 100% dodginess. Don't get me wrong. And I didn't agree with their policies.
I think probably the dodginess ramped up as soon as Boris was in charge because everyone knows he was on the take.
Yeah, more than anyone.
Well, yeah.
More than anyone.
I mean, for us to have had a Prime Minister that not only was just ignoring national security advice, not turning up for important meetings. The thing I can
say about Cameron, and I can't say much for Cameron.
No.
The thing I say about Cameron, same for May, same for, any of the ones that have gone before, and Major.
They weren't Boris.
No, not maybe. I mean, even Thatcher, and she's probably the worst thing to ever happen to this country ever.
Yeah.
At least they had the decency to try and hide their corruption. He just did it so publicly and blatantly, and he was just like, there's this genuine belief of, you lot ain't going to do nothing.
Well, that's the thing, and I think that's what used to frustrate me the most was that, in general, people were like, not even ambivalent towards it. They just either weren't aware or didn't care. Do you know what I mean? They genuinely seemed to believe he was doing a good job.
During the pandemic, when Boris was doing all the things that he's now being asked about in this inquiry, I genuinely had my Frank Grimes moment because, like I said, sometimes when someone's a bad person and you know it, but you can't convince your friends that this person is a bad person because you can't. They're hiding it really well and they're all being really nice and everything when they're with your friends, but you're like, no, you've got to see it. Boris wasn't hiding it. Like, nothing that he did, everything bad that he did was really open and really public. He did sell the
whole country for quite a while. During that period,
it was so frustrating. It was my Frank Grimes moment. I was like, how are you people not seeing what a charlatan this man is and what a con man?
Yeah. I think when he was Mayor of London, he managed to portray this image of, like, I don't know, he was somebody we could be proud of, I guess. Like, he was very outspoken, he was everywhere, he was part of all the big events, like he was part of the Olympics. Do you know what I mean? And I think he got away with it for a while, but I think as soon as the real national spotlight was on him and all the attention was on him, it was impossible to hide what he was up to. And the thing is, like you say, he wasn't hiding it really to begin with. That's what annoyed
me. But to be honest, I've just turned this into an anti-Boris thing. Look, getting back to the inquiry.
Yeah.
I truly don't believe that all of those WhatsApp messages will see the light of day.
No, neither do I. But I think we're going to see enough that it's not going to look good. That it will put the final nail in the coffin, perhaps, for a while at least.
But the thing is, you've got on the other side.
Do we think it's the end of Boris, though?
No.
No.
That man's a cockroach.
Yeah. What do you think it would take to get rid of him?
Death.
What do you think, sadly, until the day he dies, we're going to have him?
Yeah.
In some form or another.
Yeah.
Trying to keep himself relevant.
Yeah, I do. What do you think it would take to get rid of him?
It would need to be a Me Too sort of situation, wouldn't it? Like a sexual assault or... I mean, to be honest, we know he hit his missus and that wasn't enough.
No. left his ailing wife
Yeah.
to go and bang some other woman.
Yeah.
That weren't enough.
Who we were paying to work for him.
Yeah, that weren't enough.
Yeah.
He partied while thousands of people died and thousands of relatives had to Zoom call dying relatives. Yeah, couldn't hold their hand for their final moments. Couldn't attend funerals.
No.
And he was on the piss.
Yeah.
That wasn't enough for it. That wasn't.
No.
It was
that
enough.
Wasn't enough.
It did some serious damage.
But he was still.
It didn't kill him.
No.
And, didn't kill his career. Didn't kill his political career. Didn't turn it off.
No.
And he's very good at seizing control where there is no control. That is to say, he will absolutely lose a seat at the next general election. So he's wise enough to say, well, I'm not going to stand at the next general election. It's my choice.
Yeah.
I want to move on to other.
Well,
and
it's interesting because I read a little while.
It's your choice because you don't have a choice.
Apparently, he was looking into alternative options, ones that he could go for that would be perhaps safe, and so he must have come up with the conclusion that sadly, for him, there isn't. That's not currently there. So what he'll probably do is go away.
And come back.
Up his reputation again, probably go around, do lots of press tours, do lots of, shaking babies and cutting ribbons.
He probably will.
Yeah. Yeah. Sad.
Like I said, not to, we sort of can't talk about one without the other, but then on the other end, we're talking about Conservatives, putting the ball on their own goal line and then all walking off the pitch.
Yeah.
And Keir Starmer's coming along and he's managing to knock it away from the goal.
He
is fumbling it.
What's he done or not
Well,
done?
all this, will make Brexit work for Britain, and
the problem is it's still
just backtracking on everything he said. I know we spoke of this as a bit historic now, but talking about the Shamima Begum thing and then backtracking on it, talking about
tuition fees,
talking about the tuition fees, backtracking on it, talking about gender rights, backtracking on it, talking about gay rights, backtracking on it. It's kind of like
Yeah.
So then you can't believe a word he says. So it's like, well, how can I support him? Because he's just going to change his mind the first opportunity he gets.
Yeah, I think what I've settled on at the moment, unless Keir Starmer can convince me otherwise, I will look into, because there's always websites in the run up to elections of to give you helping to figure out who you should vote for to get rid of the Tories. So I think I'll probably go down that route.
Tactical voting.
I don't think our area is a Labour area, or likely will be.
No, but
I think we'd more
it's
likely
not a Tory stronghold.
No, I think it'd more likely become a Lib Dem
go
seat
back to
again.
Lib Dem. Or Green. I feel like we could get a Green.
Yeah, so if Green is a possibility, I'd quite happily vote Green. Lib Dem, I'm ambivalent towards, but if it got rid of the Tories, quite frankly, done. But I feel like one of the thoughts I had about Rishi Sunak was that was it
one of them special thoughts?
Well, it was more.
Was it one of them nighttime thoughts?
No, not one of those. Definitely not one of those.
He's probably one of the more handsome. I'm not saying he's handsome, but of all the leaders in the recent years, he's probably one of the more handsome.
Yeah. Well, definitely better looking than Theresa May, Boris Johnson. There's Truss, I can picture.
I forgot about Truss.
It's easy to do, to be fair.
Cameron, even Brown and Blair.
Would you say
he's got youth on his side, perhaps?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
But youthful skin.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you are that rich.
I've given this a weird turn, and I'm so sorry.
That's all right. But the thought I was having about him was that he had an opportunity when he took over as Prime Minister that he could have tore into Boris Johnson, condemned him, said as long as I'm leader, he will have no part in this
party. Stuck the knife in for the sake of the party.
Yeah, and that for me would have backed up his claim of bringing back integrity to the party, all the shit he says he wants to achieve, which he has no real interest in doing.
Thing is, he could never bring back. I said it at the time when he was elected. It was like he can't bring back integrity to the party because he was complicit.
Won't support it either.
Well, because he was complicit in everything that Boris Johnson did. He was the chancellor.
Or at the very least, he sat there and did nothing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a shame.
Are we happy with our political coverage?
Well, there was one more thing I wanted to talk about, and it was only later in the day when I was seeing about it. They're doing a trial for universal basic income for the first time in this country. I've
not been following it.
It's going to start in two places, in Jarrow and East Finchley.
Yeah, can't just make them up, mate.
30 people. Oh, it's not made up. I can show you my notes if you'd like to see my notes. It's right there.
Point to them places on a map.
Oh, I couldn't do that. Well, East Finchley's in
No.
London, I'm sure. Jarrow could be anywhere.
Made
for
up.
all I know.
Absolutely made up.
It's not made up.
It's absolutely made up.
Why are you saying
Apologies
that's made
to all the
up?
people in Jarrow. I've never heard of it.
Well, neither have I, but it doesn't mean it's not real.
If neither of us have ever heard of it, it's probably not real.
I bet there's loads of places in this country we've never heard of.
No, between us, we've got it covered, mate.
Have we?
Yeah,
All right, fair enough.
definitely.
Well, in the mystical land of...
I bring you back to what I said at the top of the episode. We can make any claim we want,
Yeah, Jarrow's not real.
and we will.
But I think Jarrow is real.
But okay,
You can-
sorry.
They're doing it with 30 people, so it's not a huge number,
Just to trial it.
but
Let's
they're
trial.
going to give them $1,600 a month for 2 years.
Yeah.
And see how it goes. I mean, and
Dignity more than anything, innit, you're getting.
exactly it. I actually tweeted because James O'Brien's been talking about it, and he did a video about it, and that got posted, and I commented on it, basically just saying,
Love to the family.
well, anyone that has an issue with this or thinks people are going to be lazy layabouts if they get these payments doesn't know the working classes and doesn't understand how people are, because as you said, it will just bring dignity and freedom back to people's lives. It'll mean people will be able to raise their kids without worrying whether they'll be able to feed them or not. Because the reason it's that sort of money, I'm assuming...
It's because that's calculated at a living wage, presumably.
Well, that, and I think probably it's the average rent in London per month.
Do you know what? There was a couple of stories. I don't know the validity of them.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that, preface that before I say. There was a couple of stories where one person who was part of the trial claimed that their landlord,
Put up
who
their
obviously
rent?
by the amount, by $1,600 a month,
Really?
because they know their financial situation, because they had to know because of the rent situation. So they knew that they were going to get. No, it might not have been the full amount, but it was.
Well, surely that can't be lawful.
Unfortunately, in Tory Britain, if there's one thing that's legal,
It's fucking
despite being
over
immoral,
tenants.
it's profiteering. It's
Yeah.
it's ridiculous profiteering.
Yeah, I never
don't know
even
the- I
thought
don't know
that
the
side of
validity.
things. But like, the thing is, for someone like, and we're at that level in terms of the working class level. I mean, that's more than what I earn.
I was going to say that's pretty much where I'm at on the
That's
pay
more
scale.
than I earn, not
That's
by a
pretty
massive
much-
amount, but
That's pretty much where I'm
so.
at.
If I got that, it would double my monthly income.
Yeah.
And what that would mean for me personally would be, one, I could not live with my mum, just straight off the bat. I haven't been abroad for I don't know how long. It means I might be able to save up and go on a holiday.
Probably the one claim I can't make.
It would mean we could probably invest in more stuff for the pot, because that's the sort of idea of universal basic income at its core, is to allow people, one, security, two, the freedom to innovate as well, because you could have people that are up and coming musicians, artists, whatever you like, that need, or even a comedian, for example. Comedians have no money in the beginning, they're earning £50 a night. It would give a young up and coming comedian the financial freedom to pursue that career, and they'd still be working and still earning their own money and contributing. And the thing is, that sort of money, that £1,600 will go directly straight back into the economy.
That's we've said this before.
Yeah.
People at the bottom end of the pay
Like,
spectrum.
we spend our money.
It goes back into the economy. Yeah. It goes back on luxury treats. You go to the cinema. You go for a meal out. If you've got spending money,
Yeah.
it goes on holidays.
Yeah.
It goes on treats, clothes, whatever.
Yeah.
It gets spent. It doesn't get hoarded. It doesn't
no.
get put into savings accounts.
No. So yeah, for me, it's a no-brainer.
It'll be an interesting trial.
Yeah, and I think, and the things, there's been trials done in other countries apparently where it lowers unbelievably the crime rate, mental health improves, like pretty much in every measurable
measurable
area.
aspect, it improves.
It improves.
No, I
life for
believe it.
people.
I mean, on paper, it's certainly
yeah.
a
But the thing
worthwhile.
is, there is still a lot of people in this country who don't think we should do that.
Yeah, but there's this real, you know, we've said it before, there's a real stigma around the benefit system and around using the benefit system. I mean, it's interesting. I said a while back, I went to see Danny Baker, and he said when he left school at 15, you know, he's a real working class family,
Yeah.
and his dad said, you know, you do whatever you want, but I have two conditions. One, I can't remember what the money it was, but this is back in like the sort of 70s, so whatever the rate would have been. He says, one, you have money every Friday on the table for your mum.
Yeah.
Two, you don't go on a dole.
Okay.
So There's loads of conditions. You can do whatever you want. I
Yeah.
don't care how you make your money. I don't care how much you make, but as long as you have that much for your mum and you're not on the dole,
Yeah.
you crack on.
I mean, and I tend to think the people that have an issue with these things haven't come from an environment where anyone in their family's ever had to rely on any of these things. Like, no one who goes into the job centre or claims the dole actually really wants to claim the dole.
I did it briefly for about 8 or 9 months.
Yeah.
Hated it.
Yeah.
I've hated getting that. It did feel like it wasn't a handout. I needed it.
Yeah.
But it felt like, and you're so demeaning. And
Yeah.
I appreciate they probably do deal with some bad people, but they treat you like you're, I don't
And
know,
also,
like you're lying.
I didn't know
all
they
the time.
limited how long you can be on it for. So, like, for example, when I left my last job and before I got this one, there was quite a long space in between. So I applied for job seekers, and I ended up getting a job before I even got my first payment. But I got a letter through that told me how long I was entitled to be on the dole for, and it was only just about over a year, which I know is still a long time.
No, but then you're in a situation.
And
where
then I'm like, well, I've just worked I've worked since I was 17, and at the time I would have been about 30. So I was like, that's 13 years of work, but I'm only entitled to 1 year of help. That doesn't seem quite.
Well, then you reapply.
Well, I guess so, yeah.
And obviously you can apply for special circumstances for why you're not able to work or not able to work enough to. There's a lot of things around it, but the DWP is an absolute joke of a system. It's not fit for purpose. So any kind of overhaul, like whether it's a universal basic income, yeah, great, welcome.
And look, the number doesn't have to be £1,600 a month. That is actually quite a lot of money, really. It could be slightly less than that. It would still be.
I guess the trial will help determine that.
Yeah. Do you think it will show? Well, here's my follow-up question. Do you think it would be
actionable?
Yeah, if it's positive. Do you think a government will
do I think it'll put into place?
They'll follow through on it.
Depends which government. And honestly, unfortunately, sadly, it depends on public interest. So if whatever government's in charge is going to have the media on side, generally speaking.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to say to the media, you've got to really
push this.
You've got to push this story. You've got to push this as a good thing. And then they'll implement it. Yeah, because you're working against a lot of backlog. But it's doable. It's possible.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't just happen.
Oh no, we're talking like this.
They'd have to change. They'd have to change public perception before they implemented it. They absolutely would.
Yeah, but I feel like we're approaching a point, almost a breaking point for working people, because I don't know how much further it can go for a lot of people.
No,
like I went to an event recently where our local MP was there, and I ended up having to sit next to him, and I basically didn't say a word to him the entire night. Because I didn't really have anything positive to say to him, and I'm not a big believer in abusing someone just because I don't agree with their political views, and he didn't seem that interested in talking to me, so it just didn't really happen. But one of the things I wanted to put to him was, in the last couple of days on Facebook in our local area, 2 mums had to basically beg for money because they were so hard up. They had nowhere else to turn. They couldn't ask family anymore. The dad,
I just want to say on here a message that's been going round, and I want to back it up. I'm only speaking for me. I'm not going to speak for you too. But if you see someone stealing baby products, you didn't see anything.
No, 100%. No, I agree.
You look the other way and you don't report that.
No.
You don't go and get the security guard. You don't go and get the police.
Yeah.
You didn't see it.
Yeah.
And it's sad that we're living in a country where that's what we've become.
Yeah.
But don't be that guy.
No, 100%.
Don't be that girl.
I mean, just as a point of
if someone's
I'm not paid to stop shoplifters anyway.
Like if someone's stealing like a bottle of liquor or something, yeah, fair enough. Speak up, say something. If someone's stealing, all kinds of things, but that kind of stuff, baby formula, things like that, you didn't see anything.
No.
But if I may
Please.
transition to another topic,
Please do.
Just based on what you've mentioned there,
Yeah.
Something you said there, I don't get paid enough to stop shoplifters. Well, I want to talk. This is something that's happening in America, but it's definitely on the horizon for us.
Okay.
So first of all, I'd like to say Happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride Month
to every
absolutely.
member of the community. And something interesting happened. So every Pride Month, as you know, it's really rainbow corporations. It's
Is
all
this
the things get
what I think I know what
changed.
you're about to talk about.
Well, so there's been there's a real anti-LGBT sentiment in the world right now.
Yeah.
In the UK, in the US. Like I said, this is the US, but let's not pretend it's not happening here. And there's a lot of like, you're shoving it down our throats.
I was about to say, is that what the...
And as a response to various threats against their stores and their staff, some companies like Target, I think,
have had to take stuff
have
off the
decided
shelves.
that they're not going to fully engage in Pride Month.
Yeah.
They're not going to go the rainbow thing. They're not going to put all the products out. Now, I'm sort of torn on this because on the one hand, I don't like the idea that we're giving into that mob mentality.
No.
I don't like that companies... But on the other hand, from a retail worker perspective, which is something something I've been,
put at risk.
they don't get paid enough. They should not be taking shit for someone else's political views. Like, that's not fair on them. Those companies, as much as I'd like to see them stand up and say, no, fuck you guys, we're for everyone, they also have a duty of care to their employees.
Yeah.
And so I do understand completely why they've done it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
When you were talking about, my immediate thought was, well, there's other options to avoid those issues. You could invest more in security personnel in your stores, which no retail company likes doing.
No, they never do.
They'd rather take the hit on not putting the merch out and the stuff they were going to sell for Pride and take that hit rather than invest in more security. That would be the easiest way to stop it happening. So I don't give the companies any credit for looking after their employees because I don't think actually that's what they're doing.
It's the basic. No, and it's not what they're doing.
They're just protecting their profits more than anything because, like I said, there are other ways around
it.
Do
you know what, on this discussion on profits and stuff, I've read an article recently that was, I thought, the funniest thing. Like, it actually made me almost laugh out loud, which sounds like an odd saying, almost laugh out loud. Like, but you know, you do give like a, kind of noise. Yeah. So the whole Bud Light thing.
I don't actually know what's happened. I've heard about Bud Light's fucked, but not what actually happened.
It's so funny. Okay, so here's the thing. Bud Light...
That's what I thought you were going to talk about initially.
No, so they asked a TikToker, this Dylan Mulvaney, who is a trans woman, to promote their product on TikTok, on their channel, and be like, look, can you just do a couple of shit, like a paid sponsorship thing. And they put like her picture on like beers and stuff.
Yeah.
And like the fucking outrage was insane. Like,
well, they've lost hundreds of millions.
All the right ringers were like smashing up the cans and stuff, and it's the funniest thing. So it's so good. It's like late stage capitalism. Yeah. You just can't win. So they're getting destroyed. And in the war in the market, Modelo, which is a kind of like Mexican bit, has shot up and has really closed the gap. So like Bud Light was absolutely top in the American market. Modelo was like a really, really far off second, and now the gap is really close. So Bud Light's still top, but Modelo's really up there. Modelo are owned by the same company. So like I love this idea that the big boss at Budweiser were like, wait a minute, so hang on. Let's get this right. So we can really get on board with the LGBT community by putting one of those guys to promote us. Yeah. And not only will it not affect our profits, it will actually increase the sales of another product that we're struggling to get rid of.
Well, it's quite
Where's the loss?
It's quite a clever thing big companies do. Like, you get these
they pit against each other.
Like
pit against
Unilever
themselves.
And stuff like that. These huge companies that own rival brands from one another.
And then they pit against themselves. Yeah.
And like, I didn't know, I think it's Pepsi owns Quaker Oats, for example. They own like all these huge companies. It's not just one thing.
There's very few, particularly in the food and drink market, there's actually very few companies. If you look into
what
it,
they do,
parent companies and parent companies and parent companies.
Get some traction. They've got the power to either make sure that product eventually gets squeezed out of the market anyway, or if they think there's enough potential, they buy it.
There's literally about half a dozen food and drink companies in this country.
But as you said, still spark the rivalry between the two brands because brilliant. It's just double dipping, isn't it?
But it's so funny to me.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know about the other brand being owned by whoever the company is, Modelo.
No, I
But
didn't
I
know,
don't
nor did I. And when I read into it, I was like, that's
understand
brilliant.
why people are so angry about that or trans stuff or pride
Like I said,
stuff
there's a
in
real
general.
anti-LGBT thing. It's the same.
Is it because I keep seeing the argument of that people are afraid of like more kids being trans or more kids being gay or more because they're exposed to it, and I don't understand that mindset.
No, there's a big misunderstanding there, I think, from a lot of these people. Not all of them. It's not going to apply to all of them. But this idea that, well, my kid saw a drag show, saw gay people, and then what, now they're gay? And it's like, no, your kid was gay.
Yeah.
They didn't necessarily know what that was or how to express that. And then they saw representation, they saw themselves,
and it gave them a clear path
oh,
to
shit,
walk.
That's me. Yeah.
Mm.
Like, that's the LGBT path.
Yeah.
Your kid was always gay, and if they never saw a gay person, they might never come out as gay, but they would still be gay. And whether they figured that out later down the line themselves or whether they spent their lives repressed and depressed, who knows? But your kid was always gay. Like, that's
I find it so weird, particularly with like the drag stuff, because like American cities and states are banning like drag acts reading books to children, and I'm just
banning drag shows.
Yeah.
Like making them adult only. And
like, I remember one of my fondest family memories, and like this is for my whole family, we all talk about it, was we used to go to Crete, the same hotel. But the first time we went, there was this incredible entertainment team. And at the hotel, they had like this mini amphitheatre.
Yeah, I know.
And we sat there and they did the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which famously has a man in drag. And not one of us had an issue with the fact there's a man in drag, because it was a great performance. Everyone was laughing. It doesn't matter.
I've never been.
Have I grown up to be obsessed with dressing?
I've never been to a drag show, but I've been to nights out where there've been drag queens and stuff, and the fucking vibe they bring to a night out is phenomenal. Just fun.
Yeah,
you just you're there. If you're on a night out, you're there.
It's normally like, from what I've understood from some people, probably not for all people that are into drag, but it's like almost a freeing thing, isn't it? It's like, it's them getting to be at like
different personality,
their most unabashed, like the shackles are off,
unreserved, themselves. 100%. Yeah, it's fun.
So for me, I can't compute with why it's an issue in any way, shape or form. I think there's things to hash out over, like how we help people, how they get to where they need to be and all that sort of stuff. But for me, that's all, it's the not even the nitty gritty. It's just, we'll figure that out. Do you know what I mean? But like, other than that,
and it's like, I don't know if I've ever
like, if I had kids, I'd have no issue with them seeing a drag act, or
no, I'd love to take them to
being around gay people or non-binary, whoever it is. It just wouldn't.
I don't know if I've told this joke on the podcast before, but there's a great joke about like drag queens being groomers and pedophiles and stuff. And the guy's like, he's like, first of all, do you know how much like padding and tucking is involved? Like, even if your kid is at risk, you've got like 6 hours to get there and save them. And secondly, there's so much glitter in drag queen. Like, it'd be the shortest trial ever. You'd be like, oh my God, who did? Oh, there. It's them. Follow the glitter trail. There it is.
But yeah, I mean, like, look, sadly, in all groups of people, there's going to be wrong and there's going to be people that are dangerous, trans people, gay people.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Like, there's
but not all of them.
But you sort of get a little bit of this now. So there was like, anytime one of them does something illegal and particularly groomy, it's kind of like, we told you. But we never look at, like, for example, we never look at like Jimmy Savile and go, man, white people are dodgy as fuck. Look at all of those guys. Look at everything they do.
There's a academic I like called Akala. He's also a rapper as well.
Yes, I know Akala.
And he's talked about that very thing. Yeah. And he's like, we don't look at Jimmy Savile and Rolf Harris and go, all right, so now what we're going to do is start policing people like Andrew Neil because he's a middle-aged white presenter, so it must mean he's a paedophile. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? We don't do that, but yet we do it in other areas.
No, I'm with him.
So when you hear stuff like that, put that simply, you're like, oh yeah, but it's just stupid, isn't it? There's no,
but it's happening. But it is
100%, and it's wrong. But no, 100%. Happy Pride Month, and I think I speak for both of us and say Crossing Swords stands for trans rights, LGBTQ plus. You know the full.
I know some rights.
of it. You did it successfully last time.
It's lesbian, gay,
Yeah.
bisexual, transgender,
Yeah.
intersex, asexual,
What's
aromantic. You have like the sort of sexual, or you have like kind of a mix of both sexual organs.
Okay.
Sort of more inside than outside. Just for if you're trying to picture like a Willie and a Fanny coming together, it's more internal than external. But it does happen.
Oh, okay.
I sound like an expert. I love it. You say it with enough confidence.
Well, no, but you're like my, for lack of a better phrase, woke contact. Do you know what I mean? When I'm not up on something,
I'll also help you with
you're
kings and queens.
100%. But you're like the guy I go
Unironically,
to.
the
'cause
perfect thing to say for this topic.
You engage more with what's going on with the LGBT.
But I know
community.
asexual and aromantic, and then from there,
What's aromantic? When they're just not into anyone else.
yeah, they don't feel any kind of romantic attachment. And then I guess non-binary is in there somewhere. Queer is in there. Q's in there, and the kind of like umbrella. There's loads of them.
Now, what's queer compared to like? Because obviously it was a term for
Depends.
a derogatory term.
I think it's very. Oh man, like I do not have the authority to.
No, that's fair.
But
you know more than I do. So
my understanding is that it's kind of an interpretive term. There's a certain older. There's quite like older gay people kind of don't really like the term, from what I can see. Because they do still have it as like this derogatory term, but younger people, I think, are kind of more comfortable taking it back as like, no, that's not your word, that's our word. Like, it's not an offensive word. Yeah, I'm queer. And especially for a lot of younger people now, I think there's less pressure to define your place in the community.
Is it more of like, I'm an outwardly proud gay person?
I think it's a way of not defining. It's not labeling yourself and going, well, I'm bisexual, because maybe you're bisexual and non-binary. You know, it's kind of.
It's like I've got some of the tendencies. You kind of this.
I'm on the. You know, I'm in the community.
Yeah.
But I don't want to. That's my understanding of it.
Right, that's fair. No, fair enough.
And it makes sense to me, so I've kind of gone with it, but I don't know.
No, that's
I
fair.
do not have the authority to talk on that.
No, absolutely. Until
whatsoever.
We have someone from the community.
I am not a member of that community. I do not know.
No, but until we have someone of the community on that can explain all these things to us, or at least their side of it, you know, you're my go-to, sadly.
I'm the resident gay.
Yeah. No, you're not the resident gay. You're my LGBTQ+.
So why did you make me suck your dick? What was that about?
Just for shits and
just
giggles.
Teamwork, team bonding.
Teamwork, yeah.
I feel really upset because you really sold it on the fact that I was going to be like the gay correspondent and I should have some experiences.
But you're the LGBTQ+ correspondent for Crossing Swords plus co-host.
I'm going to tell you now, the LGBTQ+ thing covers a lot of ground and I don't know if I can cover all of it.
No, that's fair. Well, we might have to have a rainbow team of correspondents.
I feel like lesbian, that's going to be quite tough. Do you know what I mean?
I've heard you like women.
I do like women. I feel like I might be challenged on it if I walked into a gay bar.
I don't know. I reckon you have a clean shave, tart yourself up a little bit.
I could look like a butch lesbian.
Yeah. I think you could pull it off.
I'm just the right size as well that people could confuse me.
You could be a butch lesbian but not a butch man.
No, it isn't.
That's interesting.
But I'm just the right size and build that people would buy me as a butch lesbian.
I feel like it, yeah.
Yeah. Like if you said, what's her problem? No one would question it. I feel like.
I think I've heard
in a gay bar.
say that to you before.
Parents can be so cruel.
Yeah. That was mean of your dad to say that. But yeah. Shit, well we're there. We landed the pod. I mean, to be honest with you.
Touchdown. We took a lot of time on the sponsorship. I appreciate that.
That's
hey, do you know what?
Fine.
Can I say any sponsorships will keep the pride thing?
Yeah.
I like to think, would you consider yourself just very briefly, do you consider yourself an ally?
I mean, there'll be people that think ally means probably more than what I think it means. I think I'm an ally in the sense of I completely support equal rights for everyone, whether that's LGBTQ+ or an ethnicity or whoever it might be, race, religion, I don't care. Everyone deserves to be treated equally, fairly, and not be mistreated for anything that's different about them from what's considered the norm. And I don't really have.
No, it's just how you consider yourself in.
Yeah, and I've. It sounds always really wanky when you say stuff like this because it's like, oh, I have a black friend.
This pod is the place for it.
But you know,
this pod is the place for it.
I've met mainly gay people. And always got on really well with them, always enjoyed spending time with them. And I've never felt worried about do they want me or anything like that, because I see it the same way with gay men as I do me being attracted to it. I'm not attracted to every woman, so why would a gay man be attracted to every man? It just doesn't make
I think you're
logical
I
sense.
think you're an attractive man, and I think
No,
they
but
should
like,
be attracted to you.
I don't think every woman's attracted to me just because
Well, that's
I'm
their
a man.
problem.
I think they're foolish, Jake. But you know,
Oh yeah, I agree.
so I don't think every gay man's automatically attracted to me just because I'm a man. Do you know what I mean?
No, there's that. Was always that idea when we were growing up, wasn't it? That gay men are like opportune rapists. They will just have anyone, and they will have it non-consensually. That was always the kind of the prevailing joke at any like school that you went to. It was like, why would a gay man? Why would you think a gay man? Do you think all gay men are rapists? And the kind of underlying thing was, yes. And then it was like, do you think they'd be attracted to you? And again, it'd be like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? Because you're attracted? Like, no, because they're gay. It's like, yeah, it's not. That's not really how attraction works, is it? But
no.
there's a lot of homophobia steeped in our society.
Yeah. Do you think you're an ally?
I like to think I am, but the truth is, sometimes I don't know how to be an ally.
I think sometimes it's keeping out of the way.
Look, I can like tweets, I can retweet things, and I can try and raise awareness for things, and I can call out some of the behaviour and language and jokes that I see around me. You know, like when I'm at work, there are some jokes where it's like, okay, some jokes I kind of let go because banter's banter and everyone's fair game in that respect.
Yeah.
But if I think something's gone too far, and if I think it's wrapped in homophobia, even if it's like internalized homophobia that we don't really know, I'm happy to kind of call it out and say,
that's not cool.
You know, that's maybe, you know, let's drop that one from the repertoire. But beyond that, sometimes I worry. I don't know how to be an ally.
I think the majority of people
in all fights, not just like you said, not just in the
in
the LGBT thing. Like back when the whole Black Lives Matter movement was really prominent, it was like, well, I want to be an ally, but I don't necessarily know how.
See,
I don't necessarily know what to do.
I feel like in those moments when those things are happening, whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether it's Pride Month, whatever it might be, it's not really my place as a cis het, as you taught me.
We're rolling, baby. We're learning.
You know, guy, to really try and get to like ride off of their coattails in that situation. I guess if that's the sort of thing that feels uncomfortable to me.
I think
I wouldn't necessarily be someone to protest
now
BLM with a fist up,
and I would
not
love
because
to
I don't support them, but just because I just don't feel.
I would love to get, and we should look into.
They don't need me.
Getting a couple of people over this month, particularly more than any, a couple of people from the community on, because I think right now, given the really anti-LGBT sentiment we're seeing and the way it's being enshrined in law, I think it's a really important time to be an ally.
Yeah. And
I think it's a really important question to ask, and this could be a teaser for a future episode. It's a really important question to ask, what is an ally?
Yeah.
Because right now, you know, the metaphor I've always used is I'm always behind.
Yeah.
You know, let's just stick with the LGBT community for sake of this conversation. I'm always behind them. And you know what? I'm ready to stand beside them. But sometimes when the knife's coming out and the attack's coming at them really heavy, am I willing to stand in front of them and take that hit and try and block? I don't know.
I think a good question to ask someone in those situations, like, for example, say we were out.
I'd like to think so.
Say we're uptown, for example.
As we often are.
Outside London.
As we often are.
We're in London. And we saw there's a drag night or something, and there's a stack do going past, and they start being verbally abusive to, say, a gay couple outside. If I thought that took a turn, I would absolutely go and get involved and like try and calm it down, but I would also physically protect them if they were being attacked. Do you know what I mean? But I would also do that for anyone if I saw that going on. Do you know what I mean? So that's where I find it confusing over whether I'm an ally or not, because I'm not. I don't spend a lot of time thinking about the LGBTQ plus community.
I always think,
but I don't think that's a bad thing either.
I always think it comes down to that poem as well. You know, the
first they came for.
Yeah, it's like we need to stand up. We need to stand up and fight for these guys' rights, because they're not us. And all right, you'd be like, okay, and ultimately, anti-gay laws don't directly affect me and the way I operate, but I need to stand up and protect it.
And I think there's been quite telling stories and quite sad ones over the years, and one that like almost broke my heart when I first heard about it, and it's going to sound really ridiculous, was Alan Turing.
Yeah.
Because I think
Yeah.
that's
weren't that long ago.
no, it wasn't.
Well, I suppose it's 70 odd years now, but yeah, it weren't that long
That's
ago.
not that long ago, really. That's within living memory for people we have in our families or would have had in our families up until recently. And, for anyone who doesn't know, Alan Turing was a genius. I wouldn't even know how to classify him because computers weren't a thing at the time, but he created...
they were. He was
He sort
a sort of a mathematician,
Yeah,
I suppose.
that's a good way to put it. He was a mathematician who ended up breaking the Enigma code and playing a huge part, arguably.
Yeah, his machine, the Turing machine.
Yeah, we wouldn't have won the war without him, essentially. It's the fairest way to put it. He was, by necessity, a closeted gay man.
Because it was criminalised.
Because it was criminalised at the time. Police officers routinely went around gay bashing. It was just a very accepted thing. And after the war ended, he got caught soliciting a young man, I believe. Because he had no other options. He couldn't be outwardly gay, couldn't be in an open relationship with someone, couldn't be who he was. And he was given the option of chemical castration
or prison.
And he chose chemical castration, which led him to kill himself, I think, not that long afterwards. It was within several years, I believe.
Not even that, yeah. It weren't long.
No. And I think even in recent years, the Queen, before she passed away, I think posthumously pardoned him or something.
I was saying, what's the Queen getting up to?
But she posthumously pardoned him and honoured him.
But it don't mean anything, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Do you know what I mean? It doesn't mean
absolutely
anything.
It doesn't.
Their life was still what it was.
But I think there's a lesson to learn from that. That, one of the greatest people in our history, someone we should be incredibly proud of, was gay. Do you know what I mean? So
one of my favourite things is reading back through old excerpts of literature, not literature, but old like articles and stuff about when people do profiles on people, and they will about gay people, particularly women.
Yeah.
And it's always like, she never took a lover, and she spent her days living with her friend. They owned one cat, and it's like, bro, they were fucking. Let's just draw the line there. Like, but I love reading through those, and it's always like, he never did find a wife. However, him and a friend spent out the days, and it's like, yeah, bro.
Yeah.
They were gay. You need to just
accept it.
Get with the times. But yeah, it's great written.
But yeah, I think I would happily...
But the thing is, we're seeing it happen now. It's not criminalised, but we're seeing it happen. We're seeing that
it's
attacks.
Slipping backwards.
We're seeing those attacks on those people, and we need to make sure that we don't slip backwards. Yeah, we need to make sure that we keep moving forward.
Yeah, and I think I 100% agree we should have someone from the community on. Again, I would probably lean on your air quotes expertise to perhaps find
I'll do some scouting. I know some spots. I know some bars.
But yeah, if you have any ideas of who we can have on,
absolutely none.
But yeah, if anyone else does, anyone listening to this, if there's someone from the community that you think we should talk to that would educate us or would just be a good laugh even, please let us know. We'd love to have them on, honestly.
Yeah.
I think we've been saying it for a long time as well. We have been saying it for a
long time as well, yeah.
So no, I would quite happily do that, to be honest with you. I think it'd be really eye-opening.
I think so too.
So yeah. Guys, if you want to recommend anyone to us, comment to us, you can do so. And it will be here on the screen. It will be on Facebook at Crossing Swords, on Twitter at Swords Crossing, on Instagram and TikTok it's CrossingSwords_podcast. And if you'd like to email us, it's crossingswords19@gmail.com.
Yes, I need to log back into that, by the way. When my phone didn't update a couple of weeks ago, it logged me out, and I haven't logged back in again.
That's fair. I don't check it very often, if I'm being honest.
I'm not quick moving with actions.
No,
to be fair. I've got a note on my phone to talk to the doctors about something that's been there for about 2 weeks. I'm very, very slow when it comes to actioning things.
But no, it's cool. It's all good.
But that is completely nothing to do with anything.
But guys, you be quick to action. And talk to us.
Talk to us.
And we'll see
We're
you soon.
listening.
Yeah, we're always listening.